Welcome. Settle in, allow your shoulders to loosen, and imagine yourself sinking into a scene that is both familiar and quietly strange. An ordinary day at a node of the undersea internet, where monotone lasers glide through glass, where dark water presses in like velvet, and where patient repeaters keep watch with unwavering calm. If this gentle journey helps you relax, please like and subscribe. And if you want the learning to continue softly in the background as you drift off, there is a playlist link in the description that will carry you from one calm story to the next. What city/country are you watching from right now? You find yourself drifting, not falling, as if a slow elevator made of water is lowering you toward a place that never hurries. Light fades in gentle bands, a silver grey, then a deepening blue, then something close to midnight, even though the day above is bright. The ocean becomes a spacious hush. You notice the way sound changes, how it seems to travel farther, whispering rather than shouting, as if every ripple wears soft shoes. In the cool quiet, you can almost feel the weight of distance smoothing out any edges of noise. Far below, laid along the seabed like a line drawn without haste, a cable continues along its path. It neither hurries nor pauses. It simply is. In the middle of this path, a calm device waits and listens. A branching node that looks like a modest metal sculpture, polished by water that never touches it directly, tucked into the soft sediments of the seafloor. It is unassuming, but steady, an anchor in a map of invisible voices. Imagine yourself settling near it, as if lying in a slow drift of silt that takes a week to settle after a gentle exhale. The node does not glow, not in any color you could see. Its light is an inland thing, laser tones in the near infrared, wavelengths chosen not for spectacle but for endurance, for the way they travel through glass with very little loss. Inside sealed housings, inside hermetic vaults shaped for pressure, light is combed into channels, into orderly streams, the way a harp strings are tuned to lie near each other without colliding. Each wavelength carries a melody the ear cannot hear. Not music, but information given a calm rhythm. Bits turn to symbols, symbols to light, light to distance, distance to connection. The gentle rhythm continues. Take a breath and notice the cable's body. It is a quiet stack of layers, calm in their purpose. At the center, the fibers, thin threads of silica glass, clear as thought, slender as a hair, and yet so carefully refined that a narrow range of light can run for thousands of kilometers with only small, predictable weariness. Around the fibers, there are cushions and jackets, water barriers like fine raincoats, a copper conductor to carry a steady, slow current that never flickers, and steel strength members that make the cable feel like a supple rope. The copper quietly feeds the repeaters, sending energy from shore stations that themselves hum at a tempo set by the grid, the tide of human time above. Here in the quiet dark, that current becomes a heartbeat for the line, a gentle motive that never calls attention to itself. Now imagine the light itself, steady and restrained. Laser sources on land send out clean tones, each at its own precise wavelength, like a row of distant lighthouses that never tire. Dense wavelength-division multiplexing, with channels like well-spaced lanes on a midnight highway, lets many streams of meaning move at once. They are lined up by filters that act like soft gates, letting each color pass through the corridors built for it. The modulation is purposeful but never frantic. Symbols placed in measured time, phase and amplitude adjusted with a craftsman's patience. Forward error correction folded around them like a warm blanket, so that when a small shiver of noise passes by, nothing is disturbed. The gentle rhythm continues. The repeaters, spaced carefully along the length of the cable, sit as patient caretakers. Every so often, 50, 60, sometimes 100 kilometers, another amplifier takes the light and simply makes it a little louder without changing its shape. Inside a repeater, there is an erbium-doped fiber that waits to be pumped gently by small auxiliary lasers. It is a quiet exchange of strength. Pump photons lift the erbium ions up a tiny step of energy, and the passing signal invites them back down again, returning their energy to the signal as if offering a hand to help someone continue walking. This is not a dramatic rescue. It is more like tucking a strand of hair back into place or smoothing a wrinkle in a sheet. Shaped filters keep the gain even across the channel set, so the signals share the same easy footing. The gentle rhythm continues. Around the node, the seabed is an archive of slow processes. Sediments fall like soft dust, each speck an ancient traveler. Sometimes there is the slow posture of a sea cucumber easing along the floor, leaving small, tidy coils behind. Sometimes a pale jelly drifts like a thought that forgot where it was going. There is a hush here that is old and pure, a hush that would be absolute if not for the faint, distant hum of the earth itself. Currents, small shifts, the gentle groan of plates that move on timescales too long for worry. The cable rests, the node waits, and above, the world turns. What moves quickly inside is the light. What moves slowly outside is everything else. The gentle rhythm continues. Within the branching unit, paths are chosen not by whim, but by prearranged gentleness. Some wavelengths flow straight on, connecting continents edge to edge, like a soft line drawn across a map. Some are split and fed along another leg, heading toward a quiet island with white shores or a busy port whose noise never reaches this depth. Reconfigurable elements make choices at the speed of thought, but to you, they feel like the turning of a page. You can picture shutters and couplers, cores and claddings, polished ferrules touched by light only through careful alignment. Inside, mirrors of mathematics keep everything in step. Polarization states, held steady by routines that notice tiny drifts and guide them back. Clock recovery, like a steady hand on a metronome. The gentle rhythm continues. Imagine the shore landing, the place where the line slips from sea to sand to manhole to lab. There is a house there, not exactly a home, but home-like, steady, temperature-controlled, and tidy, with racks of equipment that hum quietly like a choir that refuses to be hurried. The power feed equipment is like a kind teacher, offering a constant current that does not waver. The line between shore stations forms a loop of energy through the sea, with ground returns chosen so carefully that the Earth itself becomes part of the circuit. Engineers stop by, check displays that change slowly, consult charts that show power and attenuation and the evenness of channels. There are graphs that move with the day-night rhythm of human life, the quiet hump of evening streaming here, the subtracting curve of a sleeping city there. But in the fibre, the tempo remains the same. The gentle rhythm continues. As your attention drifts back to the depths, you can think of the repeaters as librarians of light. They do not read the messages, nor do they care about the words. They keep the volumes in good condition, dusting them with photons and placing them on the next shelf. The branching unit is a map room, one corridor leading that way, another this way. A crossroad where choices have already been planned. The fibers slide into ferrules and junctions with the polished calm of glass touching glass, so smooth that the only way to know it has happened is to measure the faintest reflection, a tiny wiggle on an instrument upstairs that says, "Yes, contact is good." The gentle rhythm continues. If you listen with your imagination, you might hear the monotone of the lasers. It is not a sound, not really, but your mind can turn it into one, a pure tone that never changes, identical to itself from one moment to the next, as reliable as the beat of a healthy heart in deep, easy sleep. That tone carries countless modulations, and each modulation carries countless messages. But to the ear of the node, all of it is one unified stream, a whisper of phase rotation here, a tilt of amplitude there, a careful arrangement of symbols that take turns in a friendly way so that each gets the space it needs. Dispersion tries to spread things out, like a gentle breeze trying to unfurl a ribbon, and the system quietly corrects for it, using fiber designs that balance the tendency, using coherent receivers that reassemble the ribbon with soft precision at the far end. The gentle rhythm continues. Consider the scale of patience at this depth. A ship might pass overhead, alive with voices and footsteps, its propeller disturbing a column of water that quickly forgets. A storm might sweep across the surface, the kind that makes windows rattle far away and trees lean for a day or two. But down here, a meter away from the cable, almost nothing happens. Time is a lake with no waves. In that stillness, photons do their work, and electrons keep the equipment warm and ready and exact. Bits do not rush or compete. They wait in queues formed by clocks that are all in agreement. The notion of now becomes a peaceful plateau, even when messages traverse oceans in the time it takes to inhale. The gentle rhythm continues. In the world above, people send notes to one another. Messages that can be as simple as a photograph of a pet curled up in a sunbeam, or a calendar reminder that repeats every Tuesday, or a brief, kind word before sleep. Those slices of meaning slide into the modems that dress them in the clothing of physics. Symbols are formed that can travel long, and then the lasers lift them, and the fibers carry them, and the repeaters renew them, and somewhere far away, someone wakes up to find that comfort has arrived on time. No one thanks the ocean or the silica dust that once found its way into the hand of a glassmaker, or the patient engineers who tied two ends into one careful line. The gratitude is unspoken, but it exists, as calm and pervasive as the dark water that presses on the node like a hug that never ends. The gentle rhythm continues. Here at the node, a status light inside the sealed shell might flicker, very slowly, very quietly, through a window you would never see. The logic inside checks itself, not nervously, but as a matter of habit. Temperatures are kept close to a chosen value. Pump powers drift a fraction and then are guided back. The unit is not bored. It does not have to be entertained. It only has to be, and it does that beautifully. Now and then, a signal from shore adjusts a setting. A tap fraction here, a tilt compensation there. The branching ratios might change a little, guiding more of one color toward one region for a while, and then back again later. The node does not mind. The gentle rhythm continues. Imagine, for a moment, the lazy, grainy landscape of the continental slope, where the cable arcs gently, following the seabed's slow curves. The engineers who planned it traced a path that would avoid rough edges and give the line a place to rest. Where it crosses a trench, it is laid with extra care. Where it meets a rock, it is cushioned. In shallow water, the cable might be buried a little, tucked under sand, so that anchors and storms do not ruffle it. Down here, away from those fits of weather and traffic, it can relax. If there is motion, it is the kind the mind associates with sleep. Tiny, regular, circular, like the breath of a sleeper under a blanket. The gentle rhythm continues. You might picture the inside of a repeater can as a scene in miniature. Glass spools sitting in their cradles, electronic boards with components placed like small buildings on a quiet street, diode lasers that give their energy generously but never try to be dramatic. There are heat paths designed like watercourses, guiding warmth toward the shell where the ocean's coolness carries it away. There are seals and gaskets chosen not for their look, but for their honesty. They do what they promise to do and keep on doing it longer than most stories have been told. Power flows through, split into just enough for each section, monitored so that a small change is noticed early. It is not a place for surprises. It is a place for the expected, repeated well. The gentle rhythm continues. Upstairs, in a room with a quiet clock, a monitor shows numbers that creep rather than jump. Attenuation is a line that floats from one day to the next, shifting subtly with temperature changes that happen miles away. There is a graph of traffic, each day a wave, high at dinner time, low toward dawn. Some nights it goes lower. Some nights it stays a little higher. The staff watching the graphs also move slowly. A sip of tea, a note on a pad, a low word exchanged, a small adjustment typed with care. Even on a busy day, the pace of the system suggests relaxation. The gentle rhythm continues. Coherent detection on land might feel like magic, but it is just gentle mathematics in a comfortable chair. The receiver listens to the field, mixing it with a local laser that, for an eye that cannot see infrared, would be just a quiet absence of color. The in-phase and quadrature components are separated, demapped, unwrapped from the folds of error correction, and returned to their simpler clothing as bits again. If any symbol stumbles, the error correction catches it before it falls. The result is the calm with which a message arrives exactly as it was sent, even after crossing a place where no one speaks aloud. The gentle rhythm continues. It is easy to forget how forgiving the ocean can be in its deeper reaches. With less light, there is less urgency. With fewer sudden changes, there is less anxiety. The creatures that live here grow slowly and move as if time is their friend. The cable and node exist in that same patient realm. They are not alone, but they are not disturbed. Sometimes, as you drift through this thought, you might imagine a faint shower of bioluminescent sparks as a small organism moves nearby, the softest confetti, like a thoughtful celebration that doesn't want to wake anyone. The cable does not notice. The node does not mind. The gentle rhythm continues. Far above, there is a city that glitters, a web of streetlights and window squares. People under those lights are watching things, learning things, comforting one another, playing music, sharing news. Much of that flows through shore stations, into fibers, across nodes, through repeaters, along the sea floor. When a person pauses a video, the flow changes a little somewhere. When 1,000 people press play at once, the graph's evening wave swells softly, but none of it alarms the node. It has room. It has routine. It has reserve. The gentle rhythm continues. In the design of these systems, redundancy is a kind of lullaby. Two directions for the same thought. Two separate landing points. Diverse paths that do not share the same vulnerable places. The branching unit acts as a switchyard for that resilience, making sure that if one way naps, another stays awake. The testing protocols are similar. Regular, gentle check-ins, optical time domain reflectometry that sends a careful pulse and listens for the faintest echo of imperfection. This does not disturb the traffic. It sidles alongside the main stream so quietly that none of the messages are even aware. The gentle rhythm continues. Now and then, maintenance is needed, and a special vessel is called. Imagine this, like a slow visit from a caretaker who speaks in whispers and moves with velvet gloves. The ship lowers tools through the water column with measured patience. Cameras hover in a halo of light that seems bright only to them. The cable is gently found, gently lifted, and gently set back down when a task is complete. Inside the ship, under bright but not harsh lights, technicians splice fibers under microscopes, bringing two glass threads into such exact alignment that light will hardly notice the join. A small droplet of resin cures, like a promise kept. The cable is returned to the seabed, and the node continues its observations. If the word repair seems too dramatic, think of it as tidying or grooming, the way one might smooth a wrinkle in a long rug so that no one ever trips. The gentle rhythm continues. Once you begin to feel the scale of it, the undersea internet becomes a kind of architecture for calm. The lasers do not shout, they recite. The repeaters do not argue, they agree. The node does not command, it welcomes. Even the mathematics inside the codecs and error-correcting codes has a kindly air. Parity bits and syndromes form a quiet council that listens for any small confusion and reaches consensus without fuss. Low-density parity check codes and soft decisions are like a circle of friends who, when someone mumbles, nod and say, "We know what you meant." The gentle rhythm continues. Latency across the ocean is a pause, just long enough to put a thought down on the table and look up. It feels like the tiny, polite delay of a long-distance hello, maybe 60 or 70 milliseconds. In human experience, it is barely anything. In the life of the photon, it is a journey across a kingdom. This mismatch brings an odd comfort. Your breath is slower than the transit of a message across a sea, but your mood can be steadier than any graph. Imagination stretches the scale, and the light continues on its purposeful glide. The gentle rhythm continues. Powering this submarine chain is like maintaining a candle that never flickers. On land, power feed units hold a constant current, often in the realm of a few amps, with thousands of volts distributed along the length. The ocean and Earth completing the circuit without hurry. The traits of copper in the cable, the depth of water, the overall path length, all combine into a design that prefers simplicity, preferring constancy over quick correction. If storms bloom and fade in the grid above, the power feed rides across those changes with smoothing and reserve, so the repeaters long below never notice a mood swing. The gentle rhythm continues. Inside the fiber, even in its stillness, there is a soft conversation between light and glass. The index of refraction is like a friendly guide who says, "Stay in this path," and the light agrees. Sometimes, a little of the light finds its way into the cladding and returns like a tourist who took a side street, but it is gently nudged back, allowed to leave without fuss. There are limits. Too much power in a single channel and non-linearities might speak up. But here, design keeps everything in a polite zone, where noise is low and signals keep their manners. The gentle rhythm continues. Think of the map under the sea, cables spreading like branches, connecting cities you know and ports you have never seen, weaving a patient fabric that feels both old and new. In some stretches, the lines follow older charts. In others, new paths were chosen to avoid busy fishing grounds or to give space to coral that needs quiet. Each node along the way is a cartographer's friend, making sure that directions are kept clear, that signposts are in the right places. If you could see the network as a dim constellation, you would find it soothing. No flashing neon, just steady points and the faintest of lines between them. The gentle rhythm continues. At the microscopic scale, erbium ions in a glass lattice are like tiny figures who accept a small gift of energy and then, when a friendly signal passes by, hand it back with gratitude. Pump lasers at 980 or 1480 nanometers keep the ever so slightly excited crowd ready to help. Filters with gain-flattening curves smooth out small inequalities, the way a hand smooths a sheet on a bed. Noise appears as it must, but it is handled with care, kept to a level that never disturbs the human story passing by in those transparent lanes. The gentle rhythm continues. Modulation schemes are chosen as if they were bedtime stories. Some simple, some more complicated, but all told in a voice that the listener can follow without strain. Quadrature amplitude modulation, in its quiet intelligence, packs more into less space, using constellations of states that the receiver can recognize even after long travel. The receiver's digital signal processing cleans the signal, equalizes it, straightens it, and returns it to clarity. This is housekeeping, not heroics. The house is kept tidy daily, so no great effort is needed. The gentle rhythm continues. Coatings and armor protect the cable in the shallows, where the world can be boisterous. Out here, in the fullness of depth, the cable feels lighter. Sediment supports it like a soft mattress. Wherever a slope might move, geologists help the planners choose routes that are less likely to slide when the unexpected happens in some far place. The network has other arcs ready to share the load. The node, in its patience, believes in tomorrow. The gentle rhythm continues. On shore, the landing station is almost always modest. It might be tucked inside a small building near dunes that whisper in salt breezes, or in a sturdy house fenced against weather, or in a low, windowless room where temperature and humidity are held steady year after year. The signs on the racks are neat. The fans whir quietly, not loud, not hot, just present. There is a desk with a chair that is good for long sitting, and there may be a plant, the kind that does not mind fluorescent light and rarely complains. Visitors keep their voices low. They know they are in a place where things are allowed to be calm. The gentle rhythm continues. Imagine yourself moving through that landing station in your mind's sock feet, not to disturb the peace. You can feel the softness of the acoustics, the way the ceiling does not echo, how every beep and click is so infrequent that when you hear one, you are surprised at how soft it is. Displays show maps of channels, wavelength numbers in the 1550 nanometer window, neatly spaced, each with a small bar that is green and level. Another dashboard shows the health of every repeater in the chain, identifiers like names in a roll call, all present, all correct. If one dips slightly, a notice appears that is more of a suggestion than an alarm, and the systems gently attend to it. The gentle rhythm continues. Above the water, time moves in days, in weeks, in seasonal changes. Traffic changes too. Around holidays it may rise. During certain hours, it dips. There are new cables sometimes, joining the network, taking on a share of the load the way a new path through a park takes on part of the foot traffic. The old paths do not mind. They become more leisurely. The node feels the difference as a small change in the tone of the power's draw, a tiny adjustment in pumping levels, a different shape to the spectral power distribution. None of it is urgent. It is all part of the slow choreography of a well-managed system. The gentle rhythm continues. Sometimes we think of the internet as a cloud, weightless and abstract. Down here, it is physical, tangible, in the way a book or a scene is tangible. The cable has a weight. The node has a form. The repeaters have a temperature, a shape, a smell. If they were above water, that would be metal and clean polymer and a hint of solder. There is a comfort to this material truth. Messages are not ghostly. They are anchored to instruments that people crafted with care, tested with patience, and installed with attention to detail. That care shows in how little drama there is day to day. The gentle rhythm continues. If you could lean your cheek against the repeater's shell, you might feel a faint warmth and a deeper cool beyond it. You could imagine the pressure of the ocean as not dangerous, not threatening, but firm and supportive, like a heavy blanket. Everything here is sealed against that pressure, not in defiance of it, but in partnership. The seals accept the pressure and do not resist with violence. They simply do not yield. The steel and glass and epoxy together form a quiet agreement with the sea. I will be steady if you will be vast. The gentle rhythm continues. The node's branching logic can be thought of as an intersection watched over by courteous custodians. A new channel arriving along one path might be gently added to another, the way a librarian adds a new volume to an existing shelf, turning it so the spine faces outward, label aligned, spacing consistent with what is already there. If maintenance upstream suggests a subtle reroute, it happens as a good conversation would, with notice, with turn-taking, with no one raising their voice. The gentle rhythm continues. In the microsecond life of a frame on the wire, a lot happens. A header is recognized, a field is read, a destination is understood, and then the payload is eased along. On top of that, in wider frames, superframes, blocks of symbols richer than the letters of an alphabet are bundled and protected. Yet through all this, the stresses are tamed by design. There are buffers like soft chairs, clocks tools like steady hands and algorithms that are happy to do the same small, careful job millions of times per second. They are never bored. If boredom were possible, it would be a very gentle thing here. A quiet nod, a placid gaze. The gentle rhythm continues. Now and then, a human might imagine the whole network as an organism. The shore stations are like lungs, breathing in and out a balanced current. The repeaters are like tiny hearts along the length of a long limb, boosting blood to the far fingertips. The nodes are like brain regions that pass signals through, not deciding the meaning, but keeping the pathways healthy. It is not a perfect analogy, but it helps show the comfort of connection. And just as a sleeping body has cycles that repeat with a calm regularity, the network continues its patterns with the steadiness of deep rest. The gentle rhythm continues. In your mind, look up through the water now. Even though it is dark, you know the surface is there, and beyond it the sky, where the sun makes weather, and people look out of windows and think of errands and lunches and small satisfactions. You are allowed to let your thoughts drift that way. And if a tiny part of your attention stays with the node, like a bookmark left in a well-loved volume, that is fine too. Both places feel safe. Both places feel stable. How sleepy are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Return your awareness to the fiber, to the light, to the monotone lasers that do their work like monks in a monastery of glass. The erbium amplifiers, in their patient organs, keep the chant from fading. Gain is level, noise is low. Fishermen and ships may be busy far away, but here, none of that busyness intrudes. The node knows nothing of rush hours, only of steady hours. The gentle rhythm continues. If your mind enjoys small details, you can picture polarization multiplexing, like two dancers sharing the same floor, each in their own orientation. Their elegance doubled, but never interfering. Polarization mode, dispersion, a subtle drift that would confuse them, is noticed and corrected by a quiet partner in the receiver who guides them back into step. Chromatic dispersion, which would smear a symbol out of alignment, is countered by a prearranged choreography that brings each pair of steps back into place. If you prefer to let these specifics blur into a soft background, that is perfectly fine. Let them become a kind of pattern on the walls, gentle and unimportant. The gentle rhythm continues. The copper conductor that feeds the repeaters is more than a wire. It is a promise kept over distance. Its resistance warms the sea by an amount too small to feel. Its voltage drop like a slow sigh diffused across vastness. At landing stations, current is measured and managed. Fuses, breakers, protections are all arranged like cushions around an antique, making sure nothing jolts, nothing tilts. The direct current has a kindness to it, a steady direction that does not flip or waver. In a world of alternating moods and alternating currents, this one is a straight, calm stream. The gentle rhythm continues. Branching units sometimes have replaceable, reconfigurable elements, modern and aware. If an island welcomes a new path, wavelengths are assigned to that route, and transponders on shore nod in agreement. A list is updated. A map changes colour ever so slightly. The island's traffic grows, first a trickle, then a stream, then a steady flow that one day feels ordinary, like the quiet arrival of morning light through curtains. The gentle rhythm continues. Errors do happen, as all natural things allow. A cosmic ray may flip a bit. A little section of fibre may age by a fraction, but the system's habits are tuned to cushion those moments. Interleaving spreads risk, coding catches small slips, and higher layers accept and resubmit anything that is not perfect. It is like a conversation between old friends who know each other so well that a misheard word never disrupts the understanding. The gentle rhythm continues. Think of the people who designed the path. Some studied currents, some studied geology, some specialized in photons, some in seals and pressure. Their separate fields met in long meetings where the voices were not raised. Drawings filled with measurements were made. Models ran slowly on screens. The day came when a ship left harbour with a huge spool turning like a patient clock, paying out the line across a track that had been chosen months before. The crew watched screens, adjusted tension, felt wind on their faces. There is romance in that, if you stare at it long enough, but even the romance is modest and unhurried. The gentle rhythm continues. The node's day is distinguished only by what people above happen to be doing. If offices are open, there is more enterprise in the spectral lanes. If students are streaming lectures, certain routes fill with scholarly steadiness. If night wraps one continent, its curve of sleep lowers a graph and raises another somewhere else. The node absorbs the pattern without reaction. Its patience is not stoic, it is simply complete. The gentle rhythm continues. At the end of a long cable run, at a station far away, messages arrive and become themselves again. A photograph is restored to the exact shades it had when it left. A sentence reappears with its commas in the same small places. A file arrives whole. The person receiving these probably thinks about other things: dinner, a friend's message, a cat stretching on a rug. The cable is content to be forgotten. The ocean is content not to be thanked. The people who made the system are content to know it works. The gentle rhythm continues. Sometimes, seabed life will adopt the cable the way a tree adopts a fence, not consuming, just including. A small burrow opens under it, a soft creature curling there as if enjoying the shade. In a year, a thin film of life settles on the exterior, a calm patina. If anyone were to see it then, they would think it looks natural, as if it had always belonged here. That is the goal, to become part of the quiet, to be a thought the sea has accepted. The gentle rhythm continues. Above, satellites circle. They have their uses. grand and visible. But the heavy work of moving so much human meaning rides the fibers. The speed is a benefit, but the true gift is the capacity and the calmness. When a stream of thoughts is left to the sky, it is wide but thin. When it is given to the sea, it is wide and deep and protected from weather by water that has learned from gravity how to be still. The gentle rhythm continues. We might think of the lasers again as a chorus that never exhausts itself. The power is not high by the standards of a light bulb, but it is purposeful, intense in the most literal and careful sense. Temperature control keeps the wavelength seated exactly where it ought to be, like a well-tuned instrument in a cool room. Current drivers that feed these lasers do not chatter, they serve. The result is a line in the spectrum that is narrow, like a thread that does not fray. And because it does not fray, it can be woven alongside many others without tangling. The gentle rhythm continues. If we zoom inward again to the erbium-doped fiber inside a repeater, we can imagine its color is not something we see, but something we understand. A doping level measured in parts per million, an absorption curve that is smooth and predictable. The pump lasers are like wait staff who refill a glass before it is empty, not intruding, never interrupting. The signal sips and continues. Gain equalizers maintain fairness, and the noise figure remains low enough that even after dozens of these exchanges, clarity holds. The gentle rhythm continues. Outside, at depth, the water is cold. 4 degrees Celsius is a number that feels like a promise kept across the planet, reliable in most deep places. That coolness is a balm to the equipment, a constant bath that carries heat away as gently as a slow stream moves leaves. The pressure is great, yes, but it is steady, and steady is friendly. Seals are chosen for that steadiness. Metal thicknesses are chosen for that steadiness. Gaskets meet surfaces with hugs that do not leak. The node knows each of these comforts in its own way. The gentle rhythm continues. You can hear, if you wish, the slow tone of the copper's DC. Not a sound you could record, but a feeling of one note that does not waver. If you place that note next to the mental tone of the lasers, you hear harmony, a low, long hum, and a higher, clear pitch. Together, they are the system's hymn, and unlike many hymns, this one never swells, never quiets. It remains, like a distant, fond memory that stays warm forever. The gentle rhythm continues. In a world that often seeks novelty, the undersea node's charm is its lack of surprise. This allows planners to create schedules that you could print and place under a paperweight, returning to them years later to find that they still fit. The occasional upgrade is done as one might replace a worn book in a library, gently, with care not to move the other volumes. Where new modulation or new transponders are introduced, it is because there is room in the calm, not because of any emergency. The gentle rhythm continues. Consider the documents that describe the node. They are technical, yes, but they are also soothing in their way. Each page references another. Each drawing is numbered. Each part has a specification and a tolerance that feels like a boundary on an otherwise infinite sea. The people who assemble these things follow checklists, and checklists, when read with attention, feel like lullabies. Verify this, confirm that, measure here, record there, sign. The gentle rhythm continues. The ocean floor moves in patterns too long for daily notice. A centimeter a year is a figure that the human body would barely register if it were the movement of a chair. But the cable's designers know this, and the node's structure is prepared to be a guest in a room where the furniture slowly shifts. The attention given at the beginning becomes tranquility later. The gentle rhythm continues. At this point, you may have closed your eyes, and the pictures in your mind may be softer. Shapes are less precise. The light inside the fiber is just a calm idea. The node, a rounded object that is friendly by nature. If you find that the edges of thoughts blur and become pillows, that is good. The narrative will keep its own pace while you drift near it or away from it. The gentle rhythm continues. For those still hovering with attention, consider the numbering of channels. They are sometimes called lambdas, their spacing chosen to keep them polite neighbors. Some run at 100 gigabits per second, some at 200, 400, or more, depending on the age of the system and the elegant boldness of its design. These numbers matter to engineers, but to the node, they feel the same. A stream of symbols is a stream of symbols. The erbium pumps do not care about bit rates. The couplers handle power, not page count. The gentle rhythm continues. A branching unit has its own small variety. Some are simple couplers, some are more aware, with switches that can alter paths at the encouragement of shore commands. These switches move like old keys turning in well-oiled locks, quiet and precise. The reroutes they enable can push more traffic toward a region for a season, then ease it back. If an island hosts a festival and everyone shares pictures and songs, a few extra wavelengths might help carry the joy out and bring reactions back in. When the festival is over, things settle, not from exhaustion, but from fulfillment. The gentle rhythm continues. It is possible that even now, as you lie here, your own device is drawing on these pathways. A small request leaves your room invisibly, travels through local wires and switches, rises to a coastal station, descends in light, and is carried under the sea, reaching a distant library of servers that return a small gift of words and pictures. This happens quickly, with such regularity that it does not feel like a marvel, but in knowing that a calm machine you will never see is participating in water you might never swim in, there is a comfort that is more than novelty. It is kinship with a structure that values calm as much as you do now. The gentle rhythm continues. We can dwell, just for a moment, on how carefully the fibers are joined. Precision in fiber splicing is an act of tenderness. The ends are cleaved to be flat and true. They are brought together under a microscope that sees not beauty but alignment. An arc of controlled energy fuses them. The splice protector is placed like a hand cupped around something vulnerable until it is strong again. Then the joined fiber returns to the coil with a new, undetectable unity. The gentle rhythm continues. Cables are manufactured in long lengths and tested in long hauls that echo with a quiet that is also a hum. With every meter wrapped onto a drum, records are made. Before, during, after. This paperwork is not fussiness. It is kindness to the future, so that someone who needs to know a detail years later can find it without anxiety. When the cable is deployed, the paperwork follows it like a shadow, not heavy, just present. The gentle rhythm continues. In a few places, cables cross. Special precautions are taken to ensure that neither line is troubled by the other. The crossing is planned like the gentle overlap of two threads in a tapestry, where weight is shared and edges are tidy. Markers are made in logs, and crews know where the crossings lie, so future visitors can approach with the respect such meetings deserve. The gentle rhythm continues. Over time, small improvements are made in the art. Lasers become a touch more efficient. Pumps conserve a little more of their energy. Equalizers learn a slightly better curve. Engineers share notes from one project to the next. The combined effect is not a burst of speed, but a smoothing of an already smooth lane. The gentle rhythm continues. From a philosophical angle, the undersea node is a lesson in humility. It is important, but it does not insist on being noticed. It is strong, but it does not boast. It is complex, but it does not confuse. It functions because each part respects its neighbors and performs its limited duty well. The branching unit respects the repeater. The repeater respects the fiber. The fiber respects the light. The light respects the mathematics. And all of them respect the sea. The gentle rhythm continues. As this day at the node goes on, time is neither marked nor ignored. There are no clocks here, only processes that repeat in cycles too long to need marking. If we were to choose a clock, it could be the slow warming and cooling of currents, or the faint migration of animals that come and go with scales longer than any diary would tolerate. The light does not care. It is always awake, always ready, always capable of carrying the next thought. The gentle rhythm continues. In this dark, where colour has left, the notion of colour remains in the spectrum of the lasers. It is a reminder that even where eyes cannot see, distinctions exist, gentle, narrow lines in a range that glass prefers. The shapes and names of the wavelengths are a kind of poetry for those who work with them. They develop a memory for how a certain grid fits a certain span, how a certain filter set sits more kindly with one amplifier than another. It is a craft of quiet preferences. The gentle rhythm continues. Sometimes the surroundings shift slightly. A current lays a new layer of silt. A small creature, builds a mound that, in our terms, would be a tiny city. The cable accepts these changes as we accept the quiet rearrangement of items on a shelf. Nothing is lost. The new arrangement simply becomes the familiar one. The gentle rhythm continues. If we drift back to shore again, to that comfortable room, we can imagine a technician saving a log at midnight. The file name a slow schedule of date and hour. The content a list that would be soporific to anyone asked to read it aloud. And yet, in those lines, reassurance accumulates. Power stable, attenuation stable, temperature stable, traffic within expectations. If a deviation occurs, it is minor, noted politely, handled in a standard way. The gentle rhythm continues. Messages are things with personality. Some are urgent to the person who wrote them. Some were patience itself, even before they were sent. The network does not judge them, but it treats them all with the same unruffled courtesy. If a video is long, it is handled in a sequence of small deliveries that feel smooth. If a sentence is short, it is not given special privileges. Fairness is built into the schedule in a way that feels like good manners. The gentle rhythm continues. Think of energy budgets as a set of cushions placed along a long bench. Each repeater holds exactly enough to keep the next part of the bench comfortable. If any section were to sit too hard or too soft, the cushion is adjusted. This ensures that, from end to end, the feeling is even. In the same way, spectral balancing ensures no channel presses too hard on the shared resources. This balancing act is not dramatic, nor is it perfect, but it is close enough that the system's comfort is never in doubt. The gentle rhythm continues. Keys to cabinets are small things. The labels on them are modest, but they hold doors that only open for those whose job it is to care for the system. Behind those doors, there are spares, there are tools, there are documents, and there is a sense of responsibility that settles onto the shoulders of the person holding the key like a warm shawl. They move more carefully in those rooms, speak more softly, and think in longer lines. The gentle rhythm continues. It is easy, when imagining all of this, to begin to feel your own heartbeat slow and settle. The constant tempo of the lasers, the unwavering flow of current, the predictable action of equipment designed for endurance. All of these are like examples that your body's rhythms can borrow. And as you let that happen, the node continues its normal day, which is like every other day, not identical, but spiritually the same. Not monotonous in a way that dulls the senses, but monotonous in a way that eases them. The gentle rhythm continues. At the ends of these cables, people are made aware of one another. The seas are barriers to bodies, but not to light. A person in one port can see the smile of someone in another, can read their words, can be changed or soothed or entertained by them. The node is not sentimental about this, but you can be if you like. You can let the idea of a line underwater connecting strangers in quiet and starlight, be sentimental on your behalf. The gentle rhythm continues. The thought of dark water might feel, at first, like a warning. Down here, it is a comfort. Darkness is simple. It keeps out the flicker of distraction. It keeps things cool. The lack of light is not empty. It is full of rest. In that rest, the node works not harder, but better, just as many living things do when the day has ended. The gentle rhythm continues. You might recall that even on land, when you dim the lights, your senses become aware of softer details, the texture of fabric, the sound of a clock 2 rooms away, the feel of air on your face. Here, under the ocean, there are analogous textures, the smoothness of the fiber's core, the grain of solder joints beneath a coating, the slight give of a cable's jacket when pressed. There is no rushing water here, no dramatic surge. There is only the slow migration of a world-sized pool. The gentle rhythm continues. Each repeater is a small oasis. They are not loud about their presence. They do not glow in fish lantern colors. They do their work, and in doing it, they make room for every other repeater to do the same. Their sameness is a gift. If one were different in a way that mattered, the system would have to remember that difference and bend around it. Better to be a matching bead on a long thread, each identical enough that the thread's shape is smooth. The gentle rhythm continues. Some of the most soothing ideas in engineering are those that admit that the world is not perfect and nevertheless proceed calmly. Dispersion cannot be eliminated. It can be balanced. Noise cannot be erased. It can be tamed. Components cannot be immortal. They can be selected, protected, and replaced when necessary. The undersea node embodies this attitude. It is not eternally unchanging. It is steadily self-consistent, which is more practical and more comforting. The gentle rhythm continues. Even as you drift closer to sleep, you might catch one last glimpse of the laser's internal metronomes. They are disciplined because they are kept in a controlled environment. That environment exists because a building is kept at certain settings. That building is stable because someone cares for it. And that someone is stable because someone else built them a life with schedules and rest. Beneath each layer of equipment is a layer of human habit, human care, human patience. This is beautiful in its quiet way. The gentle rhythm continues. You might also picture a future upgrade, planned years ahead. When it happens, it will be done without hurry. Old equipment will be thanked silently and gently retired. New equipment will be connected and tested. Through it all, the traffic will be routed so that no one above notices more than a soft yawn in the flow. Then the team will write the last lines in a report and go home to rooms where other quiet routines wait. The gentle rhythm continues. As the imaginings soften, imagine now your own bed as the seabed, a place to settle. Your blankets are the dark water, heavy but kind. Your breath is the monotone laser, steady, precise. Your thoughts are the repeaters, occasionally giving a little boost to a drifting idea. ensuring it makes it to the far shore of your awareness before dissolving into dreams. Let the landing stations be your ears, receiving without judgment, sorting without effort, and letting the mind ease toward a gentle, empty key. The gentle rhythm continues. If a stray thought appears, let it be placed on the current and carried away along a simple path, through the branching unit of your attention, down the lane where it can fade into the distance without asking for anything more from you tonight. Other thoughts that would be companions for that one can wait for another day, when you have light in your eyes and breakfast nearby. For now, there is only this path, and it leads to rest. The gentle rhythm continues. When morning comes in some far city, the node will still be here in the dark. The lasers will not have lost their place. The repeaters will still keep their promises. The seabed will be as patient as ever. And you, when you choose to wake, will have your own tasks, maybe small, maybe important, but none of that requires attention now. For now, the sea is a blanket, and the network is a lullaby, and the technology is a gentle friend that asks nothing in return. The gentle rhythm continues. As we ease toward the end of this quiet visit, imagine yourself rising slowly toward the surface again, like a bubble with no urgency. The water around you lightens from charcoal to slate, from slate to cool blue, from blue to a pale suggestion of day. You can hear the surface before you see it, a slight tremor that is not noise but invitation. When you reach it, you feel air on your face like a soft towel. In the distance, a shore station rests behind a dune, contented. The node below continues its day, which is only the first or the 100th or the 1000th of many to come, each like the last in the best ways. The gentle rhythm continues. Take one more breath and return to your room now, to your pillow, to whatever small sounds the night holds. You are safe. Your mind can release its grip on details and let them melt. If this calm journey kept you company, we would be grateful if you left a like and subscribed, so we can keep releasing these gentle stories at this pace. And if it helps, drift through the playlist in the description while you rest. May your night be easy, your sleep deep, and your dreams a slow, kind sea with patient repeaters and quiet monotone light guiding you home. The gentle rhythm continues.